Hello everyone, Pedro here with CineMilled, and today we're going to be jumping in and learning everything you need to know about our 5/8 car rigging kit. Let's get to it. To start, the core is going to be the CineMilled HardBall mount, right? And then to connect that to the 5/8 rails is going to be the 360 Houdini Starters, right? And then you're going to get 4 5/8 rods, 2 of which will be using on the HardBall mount. And then you're going to connect that to your vertical uprights is going to be 4 more 360 5/8 Houdinis, right? And then we're going to have 4 of the 5.5 inch long 3/8 connecting baby pins, these guys right here, right? You'll see them right there. And then you're also going to be getting 2 more of the shorter 1/4 20 baby pins, right? So those are going to provide your anchor points for each of your triangulation that you're going to be doing, and of course for the main part of the system. Connecting everything to the car is going to be the 2 6-inch suction cups and then 2 more 4.5-inch suction cups. So today here, for demonstrative purposes, I have a 4.5-inch right there and a 3x6, and mainly so that I can discuss with you why you want to use the different sizes, right? Why are we going to include 2 different sizes in the kit, and why I encourage you to also have the 3x6. Lastly, we're going to have 1 more 5/8 baby pin right here that is going to be for the camera. It's going to go on the top of the camera on the cheese plate. That's going to serve as the main anchor point for your triangulation. And then last but not least, the final most important point that unfortunately a lot of people skip, which is the safety straps. So we're going to include 2 gutter hooks and 1 ratchet strap as part of the kit. So after you're all done rigging, you're going to want to run at least 1 ratchet strap across these 2 main suction cups. By having this kit, you will have everything you need to replicate a lot of the things that we're going to demonstrate in this video, but also I'm going to be making other videos to show you how to rig up the system on different parts of the vehicle to achieve different shots, right? So in this case, we're just doing a very, meat and potatoes hood mount shot of the driver, right? But down the road, we're going to do other videos where the camera is cantilevered off the side, when it's on the side of the vehicle. Inside the vehicle is also something that I want to show you guys. So you are going to be able to achieve lots of different camera positions with this entire setup.
One day I thought it'd be easy, baby. I'd build us a house on the tree and maybe
Let's jump into yet one more way to use your HardBall mount. Now, before we grab even the first thing we should grab is a furniture blanket, right? So as you might have seen in my Tip Tuesday video, I like to operate with 2 blankets. One that I drape on the side of the car. I fold it over like this. I drape on the side of the car and I jump like this. So this is so I can rest my hands on the hood and work, and then so my belt buckle or any tools that I might have doesn't scratch the side of the vehicle, right? And this one I'm going to be repositioning as I move around the vehicle. So this is the one, this is my throw pad, right, that I'm going to be throwing around, and sometimes I even quadruple it so it's even softer to protect against things that I might be dropping on it. So let's put this here so it doesn't slide. I'm going to grab 1 more furniture pad right here and lay that down on the fender where I'm going to lay things out. Now I'm mainly doing this in this situation because I don't have a cart with me, so I can have all my parts on the cart, right? I'm in a really small studio space here, or CineMilled garage, and I don't really have a place to put all my things. But before I do that, anytime I'm going to be working, like I said, lay down the furniture pad. So let me grab our components. So The first thing we have here is the CineMilled hardball mount. I have all our suction cups that we're going to be using, our rods, and 360 Houdinis. Here's the last suction cup and the other set of rods right here. So, all right, so now I got everything I need. Here's some more baby pins right there. We got an Allen wrench here for all the 360 Houdinis. So we got our 4.5 inch suction cup. I'm going to put right there for triangulation. The 3x6 is going to be triangulation. The other 6 inch here is going to be one of our main anchor points right there. Because basically, the first thing we want to do, obviously, is with the director, with the director's viewfinder, is, you know, if you have the camera, you can use the camera as a viewfinder, but basically we need to find the rough position that the camera is going to be in, right? If you have an actual director's viewfinder, better yet, you can use the Artemis app or one of the many viewfinder apps that exist for the iPhone, and figure out roughly where the camera needs to be based on the lens you're going to have. So in this case, we're mostly concerned about fore and aft, right? Because we're setting up a rail system, so we're always going to be able to slide left to right, right? So mainly lens size, field of view, as it relates to distance to subject, right? So in this case, I'm just going to arbitrarily say this is where the director wants the camera. So let's talk about all these baby pins you see here on these suction cups. So for the two triangulation suction cups, it's really straightforward. You can pretty much put the baby pin wherever you want it. I try to put it as close to the center of the suction cup as possible, but there really isn't a right or wrong answer to that. The nice thing about the 3x6 is that if you don't have an option and you need to attach it to the side of a surface like it is here, we do have a baby pin surface on the side of the suction cup, so we can have a baby pin sticking up. So yet another good reason to have a 3x6 suction cup in your kit. You see here this suction cup already has 2 of the 5.5 baby pins that we make sticking up out of it. So basically we need to get some vertical legs, right? Some vertical anchors sticking up in the air. The reason why we need these vertical anchors is because, as you may not be able to tell, this hood is sloped. Like so many other cars out there, the hoods slope this way and they slope left to right. That means we can't actually just put rods on the top of this suction cup because both of these suction cups are going to have angles. So the vertical baby pins in conjunction with the Houdinis are going to level that out, right? So it doesn't matter what angle your suction cup is going to be, what we're setting up is going to eliminate that angle. And to do that, we need some verticals. So one very important thing here is, let's grab our 2 5.5 inch long baby pins that we have here. And we want to put these baby pins in the same exact position in the cheese plate, right? This hex plate, as we call it, it has a number of different mounting options, right? There's a pattern here. There's through holes, there's threaded holes. So what you're going to want to do is put the 2 suction cups side by side and figure out exactly where the baby pins are on the suction cup so they're exactly symmetrical, right? So I know that it goes right there, and I'm looking at that one there, and I know this one goes right here. So there you go. These 2 suction cups are the same. Now the baby pins, the anchors, the vertical anchors are in the same exact place. So what that does is it ensures that when we run our rods across and we start attaching the Houdinis, that the 2 rods are going to be parallel to each other, right? If the 2 rods are getting tighter or looser, then we won't be able to slide the hardball mount left to right because it's going to get tighter, right? It has to be equidistant to allow this to slide back and forth, okay? As you can see here, I already found the right location. What we need to do is we need to find the correct holes in order to have the right distance between the rods so that we can have everything square, so that when we're all mounted up, this will be able to slide left and right, almost like a slider. Not for sliding, of course, but just for repositioning the camera, right? just for fine tuning the frame, right? And so the way this is going to mount in relation to the rods is actually across here, lengthwise. Now, this kind of puts the camera plate parallel to the rectangular base plate. And so this almost feels like it's in the wrong direction, so to speak. But remember, obviously this is a ball. It doesn't care where the base is. You can pan and tilt the camera in any direction you want. So it really doesn't matter which the direction that the base plate is facing, because the ball allows you to move 360, right? So that's not a concern. So we just have to make sure that we're using the correct holes here. So I'm using on one side, I'm using the outermost threaded holes, right? The ones right in the corner. And actually on this side, in order to get it to line up with the hex plate that I put here, we're using the second 3/8 threaded hole from the edge, all right? And so this is going to be basically oriented like this, and we're going to slide the rods through it. Slide these rods through. Okay. We're going to want to leave this loose because we want to be able to slide the camera left to right. So there you have it. So right now, let me flip this over. We now have, let me lean it over there and over here. We now have the hardball mount on the two rods, and allowing us to slide left to right and fine-tune the framing as it relates to left to right, right? So all we have to do next is mount this on the car, right there. I'm gonna put it right underneath where I'm gonna be working, right? So like I said, my second pad, I throw it around. But this just goes to show, if I can do this by myself here, you can certainly do it by yourself as well, right? So all right, so let's start grabbing our 5/8 Houdinis. It's important to orient the Houdinis all in the same direction as far as the bolt head, right? I like to leave everything very symmetrical so that there's no issues. So I like to put all my bolt heads facing the outside so they're easy to access with the wrench instead of on the inside of things, right? So I'm going to drop this on here and grab another one in the same direction right there. So here I'm going to show you that basically the Houdinis will be facing outwards, right, to achieve the correct spacing in order to match that spacing on the baby pins that are equally symmetrical on two of our two hex plates, right? So basically they face out, all right? And if for whatever reason your rods aren't lining up, you just messed up the orientation or the hole that you mounted these starters in, all right? So let's just take this, let's flip it over. Let me just rest that over there. So try to match what's on the other side there. So there, I can tell they're facing in, and this guy is facing out like that. So all right, now that that's done, we basically have our two suction cups connected. We got the two verticals running across, and now we should be able to slide this to the center. There we go. And so basically right now, each suction cup surface, because this hood slopes, is at this angle to each other, right? So the goal here with any kind of hood mount is to get as low as possible, right? So this is why we're using this instead of a tripod head, because a tripod head, the camera would be way up here, right? The other reason that this locks much more securely than a tripod head, right? We're not going to want to slide up all the way up on these 5.5-inch baby pins. We just want to go up just enough in order to account for the slope in the hood. So let me find that spot here. Now I'm not going to go fully tight on any of these at the moment because it's good to leave things a tiny bit loose so you can move them around and adjust them as needed. So let me get this one roughly in the same position. Now I like to get things as level as possible. So the two rods so that the center plate will slide better, not necessarily to help the camera stay level because we have a lot of adjustment in the ball, right? Now the hood also slopes down, so this rod needs to be higher than this one in order for them to be, you know, at least relatively flat to each other. Let's put some pressure on that boy. At this point, we're going to start to want to lock down the suction cups. I'm going to try to get this suction cup as even as possible with the other one. I'm going to lay down some carpet shield like you might see in our paint protection video. Now you can break out a level and put it, and you can get as detailed as you want to get on this step. Now we got our two main anchor points. If we need to raise the camera up, we simply slide up on these 4 baby pins. We can raise the camera height. We can't go any lower, unfortunately. Now, if you do need to go lower and you're on a zoom lens or they're not that particular in zoom lens, one trick would be to move this further forward on the hood, right, to gain distance, and then zoom in with the lens to achieve the framing they want. And the benefit to doing that is usually the hoods on the cars, they slope down towards the front. So if you slide this further forward, you can lower the camera height, right? So keep that in mind. Let's slide our camera in here. Boom. It is still loose, but I like to leave it a little bit loose so that we can find the balance point of the camera. In this case, it's right here, so I'm going to lock the camera on the dovetail. And at this point, we would frame up, ask for the director or the DP, have them look at the monitor, and you would pan and tilt and find exactly the frame you need. Next, we're going to want to lock in the side-to-side location of the camera. Now that we're all locked in, we're going to add a baby pin to the top of the camera and start our triangulation. I will be doing a separate complete Tip Tuesday video on the subject of triangulation, but needless to say, we need to create a triangle shape in order to stabilize the top of the camera. Now that we got the bottom of the camera rigidly in place, we now need to stabilize the top of the camera, right? From going left for pitching, right? Either left, right, forward, and back. And the way we do that is by creating a triangle, just like you do with a tripod. And so we need 2 anchor points. So we've already established one's going to be over here, the other one's going to be over here. The important thing here is you never want to make the triangle very acute, right? We want to open up that angle to as close to a 90-degree position as possible to actually provide proper triangulation, right? Proper stability, right? So the more you open up that V angle to turn it into an L, the more positionally stable you're going to be. All right, so we're going to want to put our baby pins on both of our triangulation anchor points. So I'm going to slide that in there, and oh, look at that. Our first problem. The angle is so acute that to reach this suction cup, this other baby pin, it is hitting its own body. So we would have a few options. Either we raise the height of the baby pin, right, to get the clearance for the angle we need, or the better option is to actually simply move the position of this suction cup. This is a great example of why we need 3x6. So the round suction cup will not fit on this fender. This fender is not flat. This is where we found a nice flat area. Look, the whole car is moving, right? Okay, so we got a good anchor point here for our first triangulation. All right, so that is now going to work. What I notice is I have to be at the top of the baby pin here. So I'm going to have to do this one last, because on that, for the other one, I'm going to be down here lower on the baby pin. This is why it's good to have all different heights of baby pin. Now this is a short baby pin. If you have the longer baby pin, you have less of this issue. We've discovered that we actually need to do this one first. So let's do that. We go ahead and get some suction on this guy. And let's drop this in here. All right. So we got our first triangulation point right there. Which side you put the head of the screw on, because that will gain you a 2-inch difference from left to right. So I hope that makes sense. If you put the rod right here and it's running into like the monitor of the camera, such as it actually was doing, so I actually need to move the rod 2 inches to the left where there is nothing to hit. And so the easy way to do that is just to flop the direction of the Houdini to the other side of the baby pin. And so in this case, the head of the Houdini is facing this way. This gained me an additional 2 inches in the other direction, right? And there you have it. You're going to immediately notice that the camera is now positionally stable. Now that you have the 3 legs of the tripod, in this case 4, right? But essentially this left to right is 1 leg of the tripod because it's connecting to the camera at 1 point, right? We now are stable where the camera is not moving anywhere, right? Because we're using the HardBall mount and it's locked in place, we're good to go. What are we forgetting to do? You should always do an idiot check. It's what I affectionately call an idiot check. All of us can be idiots at one point in our lives, but we want to work as hard as we can in order for us to not have to call ourselves that, right? And what an idiot check consists of is simply going over every single nut and bolt, every suction cup, right? Give it a little pump, lock the bolt in, go to the next bolt, go to the next bolt, go to the next bolt, go to the next bolt. Go on over to the other side, go to the next bolt. Now that you're finished nut and bolting the rig, this is when I clean up my tools, because at this point I'm done with my tools, right? This is where I get rid of the furniture pad. And now this is where the CineMilled ratchet strap and gutter hooks come into play. Create our first attachment point here with our gutter hooks. The first thing we do is we're going to thread this through one of the safety strap slots, one of the rigging ratchet strap slots on our system here. Now, you can go up and over and through like you would lace a shoe. That's perfectly fine. There's a lot of times I do this. Lately, I've been going through one and then just over the other side. And the idea is then it's pushing down on the suction cup, right? All right, so I'm gonna go up and over and through the slot right here. Take the twist out. And so now we have it ratchet strapped, right? So, but before I gloss over this step, there's 2 things that you might notice right now. Even though our ratchet strap has a fabric pad underneath the ratchet, there are still hard elements of the ratchet strap touching the body of the car. Not to mention, if you're on a car that has really sensitive, perfect paint job, like a black paint job, even just the ratchet strap moving against the body of the car could damage it. You have a few options. One, you can go to your favorite sports store and get a yoga mat and take some scissors and cut some strips. You can take Duvetine, fold it a few times, and use that as a protectant underneath the ratchet strap. Or if you don't have anything else, but you do have the furniture pads you were just using, you can use those also. Especially if this is on a process trailer and you're not going to be driving down the road with it. Just fold it a few times, like I did here, and run it under. Think you were done, right? Imagine they just came back from their first take and they're complaining they're seeing a little bit too much vibration, right? Maybe you're on a really rough road, maybe you're off-road. One of the easiest things you can do is simply thread in a baby pin right here, or like I have a Houdini right here, right? That would allow me to go off here, and I can do a support here, or simply take the baby pin, thread it in here, and run the base of the camera down to another suction cup, right? The other thing you can do is just simply run another rod to any one of the other rods right here, further creating another triangle right here, right? So you could do that. You could go down to another suction cup, whatever you want to do, but keep in mind that you have locations here. I have both on the base plate of the hardball mount. I have the 3/8 and a 1/4 20. But if you're using one of these airy base plates like I am, you will have a 1/4 20 and a 3/8 there. Now I feel like we are finally finished, ready to hand this over to the first AD, because we have protected the paint of the vehicle from the ratchet straps. We have strapped it down, which is my final mental safety. We have double checked all the nut and bolts. We have gone around and given all the suction cups a few more pumps. We're framed up, and now we are absolutely ready to go. Well, that is pretty much it. You have seen how to put this together from start to finish, and I think now you have a really good idea on how to use the CineMilled hardball mount and the 5/8 rigging kit in order to rig a car onto a hood. We're going to follow this video up with a few more. We're going to move the camera around into some of the more popular locations around a car to shoot, and so you can see what other ones you might need. So, all right guys, if you have any questions, DM me, put them in the comments below. We do have a really cool CineMilled Rigging Facebook group where you can post pictures of your rig, ask questions, get advice. It's a really cool group on Facebook. A lot of really talented people in there that are willing to help, including myself. So check that out. And finally, like usual, like this video. If you like what I had to say, if you learned something, comment, because it helps give me energy to keep making more of these videos. And hey guys, I'll see you on the next rigging video.